Hello there guys, this is Solid Chapter bringing you another video, and today I just kind of wanted to make it's kind of a general video. This is something I know I've talked about before in years past, and it's just something that keeps on coming up, and I just feel like I should make a video to address it. And it's this idea that men are somehow against playing as women in video games. I've been having actually on another YouTube video in the comments a long conversation with a woman, a female gamer, about this. Basically, she was complaining that we got nothing but the same generic dark-haired white male protagonists in all of our video games. And she just kept on bringing up a whole bunch of points of like everyone's the same thing, and I kept on bringing up like, I don't know, Kratos kind of isn't a normal one, right? Geralt of Rivia definitely doesn't have short dark hair. There are a lot of examples, and on top of all of that, there's plenty of women in video games that men love to play as. You know, Lara Croft, Aloy. You have Jill and Claire from the Resident Evil series. You have Bayonetta, Samus from Metroid, which Metroid 3 is coming out. A lot of people are pretty excited about that. A game that did really well and apparently won all these awards was Ellie from The Last of Us. I have my own issues with that game, but it was definitely not. It had nothing to do with Ellie or her being gay. There was a lot of other underlying issues with that game. Life is Strange, which I'm actually about to probably play True Colors at some point here soon. If you're watching this video, if you want to subscribe and check those live streams out, because back in the day I did the original Life is Strange and I really enjoyed it, so I'm kind of looking forward to this game. I just haven't had the opportunity to stream it yet. But Life is Strange, and before this, like I said, the original, you had two, like there was Before the Storm, and then also the original, you had Max and you had Chloe, who you were playing as. And people love those games. And let's be honest, the main console/PC hardcore gamers demographic is men. If you take away cell phone games, it's men. There are a lot of women, and women are more than welcome in the community if they enjoy the hobby, the pastime, right? They have a passion for it, what it is. More than welcome. You know, gaming is the ultimate equalizer. There is no difference between genders in gaming. Where a lot of people have issue and start gatekeeping is whenever women come in and they don't like what the gaming industry is. So this girl I was talking about stuff with, it was on a video talking about the male gaze in video gaming, or the male fantasy. No, it was the male fantasy in video games. And I was trying to make the argument that, what are you talking about? There's not just a male fantasy in video games. What about Kratos? Guy's basically running around in nothing but muscles, abs, and a loincloth, right? Through like the first game or two. And you have a lot of others. I mean, you can look at Batman. Really, name your not name your superhero. Name your main character, and that's a male, and they're gonna be like these physiques that are like, I'm never probably gonna have in my lifetime. And then her response, what did she say? She said, "Oh no, well that's still the male fantasy, because that like men fantasize about looking like that." So my response was, hold on. So you're telling me that women do not fantasize about looking like Lara Croft? Women do not fantasize about looking like Zero Suit Samus? Women don't fantasize about looking like Diva, which is BS because the Diva cosplay has gone crazy on the internet. So you're telling me that women do not fantasize about looking like any of these characters. Like Quiet. Like Tifa. You're gonna tell me that with a straight face. No, of course that's wrong. Women want to look hot just like men want to look hot. That's part of the fantasy. It was just funny because I brought all this up, right? And then she was like, and she also tried to say like, oh well, women like different things. Women don't only like the fit, muscular guys. I'm like, so you think men only like the busty bimbo types? No, men like all kinds of things. There's men that like abs. There's men that like really muscular women. There's men that like skinny women with tiny breasts. There's men who are butt men. There's men who prefer blondes over redheads or reds over blondes, or that only like women with like skin color that's not white. They're not into white women. Like there's all kinds of things that men are into just like women. But on the vast majority, as a society, we have all kind of decided what the beauty standard is for both men and women, and that is basically what is portrayed in most video games. Because at the end of the day, if you have a big muscle-bound guy like Kratos or Batman or one of those guys or Superman, well, men want to look like that on the vast majority as a society, and women are attracted to that on the vast majority as a society. And if you have the women who are really fit in shape and have big assets, well, men are attracted to that on the grand scheme of things as a society, and women want to look like that in the grand scheme of things as a society. So then we start going into functionality. We start having this conversation, male or female, because she started saying like, oh, well, I'm not saying, because she, at one point she complained like muscle-bound guys. I was like, oh, so main characters who are muscle-bound is a critique now. And she was like, well, no, I don't mind some of them, just not all. I'm like, okay, you have a point if it's a game like a Heavy Rain, where it's like a detective, like with that detective dude. I'm not going to give spoilers on his character, but he was fat. He was just a detective walking around. There was the father, who went yelling Sean in the station looking for his son at the beginning of the game. That in that infamous scene, like he's a father, like he's a random guy. Like, yeah, okay, he doesn't have to be a big muscle-bound action hero. But if you're gonna have characters who are raiding tombs, like Nathan Drake or Lara Croft, they need to be fit. They need to be able to do the kind of mountain climbing, scaling, jumping around, swinging on ropes, shooting guns kind of stuff. Like, they need to at least be fit. Now, they don't need to be muscle bound, but they have to at least be cut. They have to at least be pretty shredded. They have to be fit. If you're going to have guys who are like throwing these swords on chains, these daggers on chains around like Kratos, or heroes, or you're playing as a barbarian in Diablo, yeah, they need to be pretty muscle bound, because if they're going to be doing pretty heavy physical stuff, they need to be pretty muscle bound. Or the Amazoness in Diablo, because there's some female characters that are pretty big and shredded too. Yeah, you have to have, it has to make sense, because a big part of video games is immersion. It's not about reality. We have reality in reality. It's about getting an escape. It's about living out fantasies, and no one's fantasy is to be themselves that they are in reality in the video game. I'm sorry, it's just not. If you want that, you can go to a game with a character creator. And speaking of games with character creators, what do men usually play as in games where they can create their own character and pick the gender? More often than not, it's a woman. In fact, it's kind of a running meme and a running joke in the video game community as a whole, that if you see a woman in a video game, any kind of multiplayer game, run around, chances are it's a fat white dude sitting behind the keyboard. So I don't know where this whole thought process of men don't like playing as women in video games. That's not the issue. The issue is we don't want video games to go down the road that comic books, and more specifically Marvel Comics, have gone down recently, where you are inserting these characters. You're inserting women, you're inserting people of color, you're inserting people of the LGBT background with no character. Like, them being that is the extent of their character. Their character's paper thin. It creates horrible stories, and that's why you just don't want politics in your games. And there is a right way to do politics. And once again, this lady brought this up in our conversation. Be like, oh, you can't just say they're apolitical. No, they're not apolitical. There are politics in a lot of the best games, but they're in-universe politics. They're not rooted in the real world. And even if you're going to have politics rooted in the real world, or have it just be in universe politics, either way, you don't. There's a right way to do it. Okay, so what most people, this is the trap that Marvel Comics has really fallen down, is they use the stories as a device to push their politics, which is bad. Okay, it comes off as preachy and just creates bad stories. The right way to do that is if you want to tell a story, right? You want to tell a good story, and you're like, how's a good way for me to tell the story? You can come, okay, well, these politics right here would be a good device to push my story. That's where it's good. So you don't want to use your story to push your politics. What you want to do is use your politics as a device to drive your story. So, like, a lot of people always bring up, like, Captain America punching Hitler back in the day, on the cover and stuff. Yeah, there has always been politics in all nerd culture, in books and comic books, and now video games, and in movies. But in the best stories, those politics are used to drive the story. The story is not used to drive those politics, if that makes sense. And I said this to her. I didn't want to just talk all day, and I'm not going to put screenshots on because I don't want anyone going after her. I don't want to tag her or anything. These are just... I just wanted to put my thoughts on this in a video. Nobody... I'm not going to say nobody. There's probably a few woman-hating bigots in the video game community. But on the whole, nobody has an issue with women in video games, whether they be gamers or they be characters we play as. Really, we don't connect with characters and stories based on the color of their skin matching ours, based on what we have between our legs that's in common with them, and we don't connect on them based on who they boink in the bedroom. It's deeper than that. We connect on their character because of their character, who they are, what they aspire to do or be, and how we can relate to that in our lives. And I really I don't want to see the video game industry do what the comic book industry has done and just completely focus on that and throw character out the window. Anyone who's been subscribed to my channel for a long time probably remembers the videos I used to make about Gamergate and why Gamergate was misunderstood. It was never a campaign against women or minorities in video games. It was always about the integrity of gaming media, gaming journalists, and somehow it got co-opted and turned into being sexist against women in gaming, which my very first video on the channel, this was what it was about, was this misconception of Gamergate. And it's still going on today, like, obviously. With all the Anita Sarkeesian stuff, I've done videos on her before about how she's honestly completely a hack and is just nothing more than a outrage merchant. And yeah, a lot of gamers have issues with a lot of female Twitch streamers. That's because they're clearly they're pretending to be a gamer so that they can sell their OnlyFans account. Okay? There's sites for boobies, okay, that exist on the internet. People didn't want to I stopped using Twitch because of that. I only use YouTube now. Not to mention that it makes it unsafe for kids. How many kids do you think are on Twitch and are seeing these women dressed half naked? But women who are legit gamers and love gaming and aren't just trying to sell their bodies, completely respect them. I want them in the community. I think that's awesome. Like an actual gamer girl, that's awesome. I think it's rare. I hardly ever see them anywhere on the internet or in real life, to be honest with you. Probably because they're inside playing video games just like me. I have nothing against that. Like, I don't know where the idea comes from that men have this. Like, men like women. Straight men, straight white males, straight cisgendered white males love women. Like, where does this idea come that we wouldn't want y'all around us? That makes no sense. Think about it for a second. That makes no sense. To the point where men, when they can create a character, usually create a woman because they'd rather look at a woman character than a male character, which, yeah, might have a little bit of a male gaze going for it, but it's not hurting anybody. It's not a real character. It's not even a real character someone else wrote. It's a character that they just created on their own with the character creator. In most cases. And in the anime world, there's this term called waifu. Your waifu, your anime waifu, right? A lot of people have that same feeling towards a lot of female video game characters too. Men don't hate female characters. Whether it be in manga or anime or video games or comic books, people love Mary Jane. In comic books, from comic books. People love Mary Jane. She's a female character. Anyways, I've kind of drawn this out long enough. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. We have no problems. No problems with female characters. I can't wait to play the Horizon Forbidden West. I can't wait for that game to come out. Can't wait to play as Aloy again. I remember I was watching Rags' most recent video when he came back. I don't know if y'all know about Rags. If not, you should definitely go check him out and subscribe to him. It's good content. But he was talking about certain people, let's just say a certain person. It might not have been his most recent. It might have been an older video. But I watched it recently. And he basically said, people like this are why you need to gatekeep the F out of the hobbies you love and the passions. Because people who want to destroy it. You can see that in the comic book. Like, I keep on bringing the comic book industry right now. Comic books, especially Marvel comic books, should be more popular than they ever have been. But the industry's dying. With all the success of the movies, they shouldn't be able to print out enough comic books of these characters. But the industry's dying. Why? Exactly why I've been detailing in this video is why. I don't want to see, that's why. That's why they're saying, like, you got to gatekeep it. Don't let people into your industry who don't even like it. They just want to come in and change everything. Now, if they genuinely like what it is, of course, come on in, enjoy it. Okay, I'm not saying don't let new people come in. What I'm saying is you got to be careful, like a gatekeeper. You got to only let legit people in, because the people who don't actually like it are going to try and ruin it. They're going to try and change it, and they're going to try and destroy it. And that's what he meant by that. By you got to gatekeep the F out of the things that you love. Because you have to be careful. People like Anita Sarkeesian, who was on record, I'm sure a lot of you might not remember her. A lot of you might be too young for Gamergate or just didn't really care back then. But she was a big part of it, and she claimed to be a gaming journalist. Came out with this thing called Feminist Frequency, where she raised money to do it, and then her backers, she raised money, basically, I think it was a GoFundMe, to do this Feminist Frequency stuff, and she never even released the amount of videos that she promised, and got like hundreds of thousands at least, if not millions. I forget how much it was, a lot of money from it. Never followed through with the quota, but she always claimed that she was a gamer and stuff, even though there's this video that surfaced that none of her supporters would ever acknowledge. I believe I put it in one of my videos at one point, where she basically said she was doing a presentation to like a university or something, college students, and she was on record as saying, "This is why I've never liked video games. I hate video games." Before she came out and started trying to do the Feminist Frequency stuff for Tropes Against Women in Video Games series. So she was someone who pretended to like video games just so that she could change it because she found it problematic. These are the women that people are referring to when they're talking about fake gamer girls and stuff. Either clout chasers just trying to get people their OnlyFans, or women who are genuinely trying to destroy the industry that they love. That's what I'm talking about when that's what Rags was talking about in the video when he said you have to gatekeep the F out of the things that you love. Because we can see it with Marvel right now. We already see it happening with them. But if you are just a normal down-to-earth girl who wants to enjoy video games, come on in. Okay, you don't have to pass any tests or any of that. You need to just not hate video games as they are. That's it. If you like it, go ahead and enjoy them. If you don't like it, just go somewhere else. Don't try to ruin it for the people who do enjoy it. Let people enjoy things. Anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on all of this. Like I said, I just kind of needed to... I know I tried to end the video before and I kept on going. That's because another thought popped in my head. But, yeah, those are my thoughts. I just needed to get them down on the video instead of just arguing with someone over text in a comment section until the end of time. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sure this video probably will not do well in the algorithm because of the type of video it is, and it might get a lot of dislikes. I almost said downvotes. This ain't Reddit. Might get a lot of dislikes, but I felt like I had to make the video. This is something that really needs to be talked about more. That men do not hate women in video games. It's a much deeper topic than that, and really in general it's just not the case at all. Anyways, guys, this has been Solid Shepherd. Until next time, I should go.